Veterans Advocacy, and we're here today to outline some concerns of some expressions we've heard from the government yesterday, and the fact that today is the final day, barring unforeseen circumstances, that the SISIP class action suit and all the legalities and the details around it should be finalized with Justice Barnes, the federal government, and the advocates on behalf of Dennis Manouche and the legal firm of McInnes Cooper. As you know, a settlement was reached prior of approximately $887 million, affecting approximately 7,500 disabled veterans and their families from across the country. And the way that it happened, for many years, the SISIP clawback started back in 1976, and many veterans have raised the issue for many years about why is their pain and suffering money being deducted from other forms of income. This current government was advised on many occasions that they should stop this clawback of the pain and suffering payment and allow these honored veterans and their families to have the monies they so rightfully deserve in order for them to get on with their lives. The government flatly refused. They refused over and over again, and they have this see you in court attitude. So Dennis Manouche of Musquodoboit Harbour in Nova Scotia said we'll do just that. He retained the legal firm of McInnes Cooper, who took it on a pro bono case. The Supreme Court then, very shortly afterwards, allowed it to proceed as a class action lawsuit. And just recently, last year, Justice Barnes of the federal court ruled that what the government did was illegal, and they could no longer deduct these funds, and thus the case was won in favor of the veterans and their advocates. Now, yesterday in the House of Commons, a lobball question was thrown over to Minister McKay, the Defence Minister of Canada, expressing his outrage at the amount of money allegedly to be given to the lawyers for their particular service to Dennis Manouche and to these disabled veterans. And he stood up in the House and said he wanted to make sure that the veterans got all the money that they deserve. He wanted to make sure that all the money went to the veteran, was exactly what he said in those particular regards. And I literally reversed my lunch when I heard that the other day, because this was the government that forced these veterans into court in the first place. There shouldn't have been one nickel, can't say penny anymore because it's gone, there's not one nickel should have been spent on legal fees, because veterans should not have gone to court in the first place to defend themselves in regards to this SISIP clawback. It is simply unconscionable that the government can now stand up and complain about legal fees when they were the ones that forced these honored people into the courts in the first place. And let's also forget, the federal government during this court proceedings flatly refused to honor and pay any legal services that Dennis Manouche would have to incur. The fact is that they refused to pay any legal fees. So what had happened instead, any legal fees that need to be paid out have to come out of the monies that the veterans would be receiving. And that's what Mr. McKay was being outraged about yesterday. But he and his government were the ones that took him to court in the first place. And if they were at all honorable over there on that side of the House, then they would be handling the legal fees on their own and not asking veterans to be paying for that. It is simply an outrage that they can now feign indignation over that. And let's not also forget that if Dennis Manouche and the team of McInnes Cooper had lost that case, there's an extreme high probability the government would have tried to recover their legal fees from Dennis Manouche and McInnes Cooper. So you can't have it both ways. I cannot tell you how disappointed I am in this government, first of all, forcing these veterans into court, and then, you know, the veterans winning their case, and then telling everyone that the money paid for the legal team has to come from the disabled veterans' payments. It is simply outrageous, and we're going to be going after the government constantly on this issue, because let's not forget, they're now doing this to disabled RCMP veterans who have a very similar case. There's approximately 1,000 of them across the country who've started their class action lawsuit to get their pain and suffering payments stopped from being deducted from other forms as well. So the government has learned nothing from the Dennis Manouche case and Justice Barnes' decision, because now they've told RCMP veterans, take us to court. And it is simply outrageous that the heroes of our country have to go to court to fight their own government. A government that they said we would serve and protect and we would die in the name of our country. And yet the government that holds the bounds of this simply will not honor and respect them in this regard. So at this time I'd like Mr. Sylvain Chicoine to paraphrase my remarks en français, please. Thank you.